The three swords of Kenpachi. When united, they become the God Sword. Sword I Kagetsu. The blade that kills gods. Role, destruction. Nature, God Slayer. Form, black-red katana with fractured edges. Abilities. Can kill gods permanently. Ignores divine immortality, regeneration, and authority. Cuts. Divine bodies. Souls. God concepts, status, rank, name. Lore. First sword Kenpachi ever touched. Awakens when Kenpachi intends to kill. Gods feel fear simply by its presence. If this blade touches a god, death becomes possible. Sword 2 Seishin. The blade that commands reality. Role, control. Nature, reality authority. Form, silver blue blade with star-like veins. Abilities. Controls. Space. Time. Causality. Can pin gods in place. Can override divine techniques mid-activation. Lore. Responds only when Kenpachi is calm. Used unconsciously to counter Azrael's erasure attempt. Allows Kenpachi to fight without moving. Reality bends so the blade does not need to. Sword 3 Eidolon. The blade that refuses death. Role, immortality. Nature, golden entity manifestation. Form, golden translucent sword, half ethereal. Abilities. Makes Kenpachi unkillable, unerasable, unsealable. Converts death into evolution. If destroyed, instantly reforms. Lore. Chosen by the golden entity. Appeared when Kenpachi survived divine execution as a child. Acts even if Kenpachi is unconscious. Death tried. The blade said no. The true form God Sword, Nanashinka Eternity. When all three swords unite. God Sword, Nanashinka Eternity. Status, Absolute God Weapon. Form, all three blades fuse into one shifting sword of black, blue, and gold. Combined powers. Kills gods, Kagetsu. Controls reality, Seishin. Denies death, Eidolon. Absolute effects. Gods cannot touch it, block it, escape it. Reality adjusts to avoid breaking under its power. Even concepts fear the blade. This sword is not swung. Existence moves out of its way. Special rule. Kenpachi does not need to summon all three. One sword equals God dies. Two swords equals universe breaks. Three swords equals system failure. God conclave record. The moment all three swords align. Kenpachi is no longer a being. Kenpachi, the only golden being who can wield three swords. The Gold Law. Only one being in all existence can wield all three swords. That being is Kenpachi. This is not skill. This is identity. Why only Kenpachi can use three swords? 1. Golden origin. Kenpachi is the only golden being born from God King, Father, absolute authority. God Queen, Mother, infinite creation. Their bloodline created a perfect paradox. Power without limit. Control without collapse. Immortality without stagnation. The universe recognizes him as golden balance. 2. The three swords reject all others. Each sword alone destroys any other wielder. Sword what happens to others. Kagetsu erases soul instantly. Seishin freezes mind across time. Eidolon consumes existence. Only Kenpachi's golden core can stabilize them. 3. The golden entity's decree. The golden entity chose Kenpachi at birth. One bearer. Three blades. No replacement. The swords are not tools. They are extensions of his being. Cross swords. How Kenpachi uses three swords. Kenpachi does not hold them. Kagetsu manifests in his right hand, destruction. Seishin manifests in his left hand, control. Eidolon floats behind him, immortality. They move before he thinks. Gods' failed attempts. 12 high gods tried to wield one sword, erased. A void emperor tried two, reality collapse. No being has ever survived contact with all three. Kenpachi walks with them effortlessly. Aura and energy effects. Calm blue-white aura, silent, pressure heavy. Thin concentric rings ripple outward from Kenpachi when drawn. Gravity stabilizes around him, debris freezes midair. Sound dampens, music cuts to near silence during activation. Animation and cinematic notes. When unsheathed, time appears to slow for everyone except Kenpachi. Enemy attacks pause for half a second before failing. Sword swings. No visible slash at first. Damage occurs one beat later. On contact, opponent freezes. Their power collapses inward, like a crushed star. Core abilities, visualized. 1. Authority severance. Cuts through. Divine commands. Reality rules. God-tier authority. Visual, glowing symbols shatter off the enemy like broken glass. 2. Intent cancellation. Enemy attacks cease to exist mid-action. Their own aura turns gray and dissipates. Visual, attack dissolves into blue mist. 3. Absolute control field. While Seishin is active, only Kenpachi's will functions properly. Enemy techniques misfire or reverse. Visual, faint geometric lattice fills the air. Nanoshinka synchronization. When Nanoshinka form 4 to 6 is active, blade grows brighter, almost transparent. Multiple future/outlines appear before he moves. Reality bends slightly toward the blade. Golden entity interaction. Golden entity appears behind Kenpachi, calm and upright. Places one hand over Kenpachi's shoulder. Golden lines flow down Kenpachi's arm into Seishin. Meaning, the golden entity is no longer shielding him. It is enforcing his will on reality. Lore truth. Seishin was once the judgment blade of the God King. It rejected all gods after Kenpachi's parents were slain. Only Kenpachi can wield it because he does not command reality. Reality obeys him. Signature line, anime moment. Kenpachi. You thought your power mattered. Blade hums softly. It doesn't. Rule. If Seishin is drawn, the fight is already decided. Final truth. Kenpachi is not strong enough to wield 3 swords. He was created so they could exist at all. Kenpachi, 3 swords, visual forms design. Only the golden being may manifest all 3. These are not weapons, they are laws given shape. Sword Kagetsu/Shadow Moon. Sword of Destruction. Base visual form. Length, extra long katana, slightly oversized. Blade color, deep obsidian black with crimson veins. Edge, looks cracked, like shattered glass held together. Guard, Suba crescent moon split in half. Hilt wrap, dark red cloth, faintly glowing. Aura and energy. Red-black energy flames leaking from blade fractures. Air around it distorts like heat waves. Shadow particles drip downward, defying gravity. Animation notes. Blade hums with a low, thunder-like vibration. Each swing leaves a delayed afterimage slash. Impact causes terrain to crumble before contact. Concept meaning. Anything this blade touches accepts death as a fact. Sword 2 Seishin/Eternal Mind. Sword of Control. Base visual form. Length, standard katana, perfectly balanced. Blade color, translucent silver blue. Surface, mirror-like, reflecting memories instead of light. Guard, circular halo. Sword 2. Sword 2 Seishin/Eternal Mind. Sword of Control will law. This sword does not cut flesh. It cuts intent, causality, and authority. Base visual form length, perfectly balanced katana, standard size, flawless symmetry. Blade color, translucent silver blue, almost glass-like. Blade surface reflects thoughts, memories, and possible futures, not light. Faces of enemies briefly appear in the blade before a strike guard, Suba. Floating circular halo, not physically attached. Slowly rotates clockwise. Hilt wrap. Pale white-blue cloth with faint moving sigils. Never frays, never stains. Golden entity synchronization. The golden entity splits its aura. Half stabilizes Kenpachi. Half flows directly into the blade. The blade briefly turns pure gold black. Time halts for gods, but not for mortals. Truth. The golden entity did not create Kamikarashi. It fears it. Lore origin. Forged from the bones of a dead supreme god. The collapsed law of divine resurrection. It was sealed because it makes gods finite. It chose Kenpachi because he does not hate gods. He simply ends them. Signature line. Kenpachi. Pray if you want. Blade ignites. It won't save you. Absolute rule. If Kamikarashi draws blood, divine or otherwise, something god level will die. Three-sword truth. Only Kenpachi can wield all three swords because Sword I tests strength. Sword 2 enforces will. Sword 3 delivers finality. Together, they form the god-ending trinity. Sword 3 Kamikarashi / Godslayer. The sword that ends divinity. This blade exists for one purpose only: to kill gods permanently. No rebirth. No ascension. No afterlife. Base visual form. Length, slightly longer than an odachi, brutal and predatory. Blade color, deep obsidian black with crimson gold veins. Edge. Jagged at a microscopic level, never looks perfectly straight. Bleeds red light, not blood. Guard, Suba. Broken crown shape. The crown is cracked, symbolizing fallen gods. Hilt. Wrapped in scorched black leather. Warm to the touch, like a living heart. Aura and energy effects. Violet red gold black aura. Air ignites silently around the blade. Divine light in the area flickers and dims. Gods nearby feel pain, fear, mortality, animation and cinematic effects. When drawn, the sky fractures like broken glass. Divine halos shatter instantly. Each swing leaves afterimages of fallen gods. Reality tears along the path of the blade. On impact, god bodies crack, not bleed. Their essence collapses inward and is erased. Core abilities, visualized. 1. Divine finality. Any god struck by Kamikarashi cannot regenerate, cannot reincarnate, cannot ascend. Visual, the god's sigil burns black, then vanishes. 2. God core severance. Targets the true divine core, not the physical form. Ignores immortality, conceptual existence, abstract godhood. Visual, glowing core splits like a shattered sun. 3. Pantheon breaker. Each god killed weakens all gods connected to that pantheon. Causes divine systems to collapse. Visual, constellations representing gods go dark. Nanoshinka synergy. When Nanoshinka form 6 to 7 is active, blade grows whiter and heavier. Crimson gold veins pulse like arteries. Each swing carries multiple god deaths at once. The sword screams, not audibly, but in divine space. Kenpachi's weapon manifestation ability. Core ability. Kenpachi can instinctively manifest any weapon he needs in battle. This is not limited to swords, axes, spears, shields, bows, or even divine constructs can appear at will. All manifested weapons are infused with Nanoshinka energy and golden entity power, scaling their destructive capability to God level and beyond. Mechanics. Instinctive summon. Weapons appear in his hands, or he can create them in mid-air. No prior knowledge or crafting required. Nanashinka integration. Each weapon automatically channels Kenpachi's active Nanashinka forms, e.g., Fong of Desolation, Bloodstorm, Eclipse of Eternity. Weapons gain energy shockwaves, multi-dimensional slicing, or God absorption properties depending on the form. Golden Entity Sync. Manifested weapons resonate with the Golden Entity, gaining autonomous power amplification. Weapons can adapt to the threat and counter divine attacks instinctively. Visual signature. Weapons materialize as crimson gold energy constructs. Trails and energy flares vary based on weapon type. When combined with all three swords, he can merge them into a single, reality-altering weapon. Practical uses. Instantly adapt to any battlefield scenario. Counter multiple god-level enemies simultaneously. Manifest impossible weapons that are beyond conventional crafting. Integrate absorbed god powers into the weapon for amplified effects.